Hey everybody, it's Calxiyn and Hunter here, and if you guys enjoy this video, remember to subscribe for more RWBY videos. Join the Discord server. It is a comment section all the time, but a nice one, so you should join it. Talk to us, and you guys should check out the Patreon if you guys want to get these videos early, support the channel, all of that fun stuff. So, not fun stuff. Is Renora dead? Some of you seem to think that it's dead. It is not dead. So we need to properly analyze this scene, apparently, because some people get the wrong idea and the wrong impression very, very quickly, and I don't know why, because they seemed kind of clear to me. But anyway, so basically, people think that Nora, slammed down, curved Ren,
broke his little
Ren,
soft boy heart in her calloused hands.
Exactly, and so I feel like that's just not the thing. That is not that's not the vibe, right? That's not what they were trying to do. And so let's talk about the scene as a whole. Here's what people seem to be missing, is that Nora is not rejecting Ren. She is not being like, I don't love you, I would like to see you as just a friend, I don't want to date you, I don't want to be in a committed relationship with you. Like, she's not rejecting him. All she is saying in this scene is like, I've always loved you. Like, I've always felt this way. You just realized that you felt this way right now, but I have always loved you. And tangentially related to that, right? Like, I have always loved you, but,
a but can be difficult in these situations.
I've always loved you. I would have jumped at the chance to be with you before, but now I'm realizing that in order to be the best partner I can be for you, I need to find myself. Just like how you changed to be the best partner that you could be for me through your own, self journey and you figuring out your head, I haven't necessarily gotten there yet, and so I just need a little bit of time to figure it all out, right? Because when you think about it, Ren had the same sort of path of self-discovery, right? Like, we see a semblance evolve. It's a whole thing. Like, we see that when he is apart from Nora with Team Juniper, that he finally understands his feelings. He's finally ready. He knows who he is. He can finally, commit to it, right? And he understands himself, and so now he's like, great, I can be the best partner I can be for Nora, because I think in his head, he already saw Nora as a great partner. He put all the blame on himself, that it was a one-sided problem. Like, I was the problem, I fix it, we're together, bing, boom, right? But actually, in reality, right, he didn't understand or didn't see that Nora was having, some insecurities about herself, and so Nora is basically saying, you did this for me, let me do this for you, then we can be together, right? She's not rejecting him, so I don't know where people got that idea, and it kind of reminds me of the discourse of, Ren is abusive, or, Nora didn't ask for consent before she kissed him, and a bunch of, right, a bunch of, situations, right?
Remember when we used to watch RWBY and it was fun?
Yeah, oh, it's so funny. So my mom came down here, okay? So she came down here and she was listening to us talk about another video that we're recording this week, and she was like, I'm sorry to interrupt, but you guys have a lot more problems than any other fandom that I have ever seen. Why do you guys, keep talking about stuff like this? It's every week there's something, and I'm like, no, Mom, listen, it's just because we're the most in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All fandoms have problems, but she's like, I get that, we have problems too, but you guys seem to have a lot more problems, right? And so it's one of those things where then I look at stuff like this where people blatantly misinterpret the characters, or even again, tangentially related, people thinking that Winter was actually racist and is actually racist and hates Marrow for punching him in the face instead of recognizing that it's all an act and she did that to save his life so they could defect. I mean, listen, I'll take the L if they don't defect, okay? I'm ready for it if it doesn't end up happening, but I'm pretty sure she did that to save his life. And so yeah, so this video is about Renora, but I feel tangentially it's also about why do you guys misinterpret things
and
so
why
bad?
Can't you why does things need to be totally unsettled?
Yeah.
They need to have flashing lights that
why
says
does
Renora
everything
canon.
need to be problematic?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Why does everything need to have a problem? But yeah, and so there is no problem. All Nora is saying is that she wants to find herself, and we have some theories about that. We already made a video on the Winter Maiden stuff situation, but it doesn't even need to be that, But I feel that at the very extent, she will get a similar moment to Ren did, for her semblance to evolve, and I think that her semblance already has. I would say that her semblance has, but because she's been not around, right? She hasn't necessarily gotten the chance to use it, basically. is what I'm sort of thinking, is that her semblance from that situation where she hit the door has already evolved, and it will evolve to a place where it will do something incredibly important later. Whatever that is, we'll have to wait and see, right? It will do something incredibly important, and then she'll realize, like, oh, like my semblance evolved back then because that thing that I did wasn't ditzy or reckless. Like, it was actually, like, you know, like a good
or
thing.
Brave or
exactly.
or smart or like all these different things that we've seen her to be.
And we've seen like a bunch of different instances, right? Like we see her decide to go with Team RWBY instead of, well, the remnants of Team RWBY minus Yang, and then, all right, like instead of going with Ren. And then we see her in her conversation with Blake, and her conversation with Penny, and her conversation with Penny again, right? And they're hugging this episode, right? And so we are going somewhere for Nora to find this out. Now, will she realize this by the end of the season? I feel like it could be like, we're traveling to Vacuo and we're going to have a moment where we talk about this type of thing, or wherever. It doesn't need to be Vacuo, right? But I feel like that Volume 9 will be that sort of like half travel, like Volume 6 sort of was, traveling somewhere. And so that is when, like, the moment
or Volume 4 was.
may happen, and the moment may happen in Volume 8, like it may be like in this big fight that we're predicting between Ironwood and the Aesops and the Cinder and the Neo and the Team RWBY, right? Like we're, you know, thinking that it may happen like that, but, right, like she may only talk about it like after the fact or realize it like a little bit later down the line. So I do think that they could resolve it though. Like I feel like they could resolve this finding herself thing with the time that we have now. Like I feel like they could.
I'm worried that it'll be too, because people are like, I need to find myself, and then 15 minutes later, like,
I know.
I found myself.
But did she really lose herself is the question.
I think
right?
this is, okay, so
she
going
just
back
has self-doubt. She doesn't realize how smart she is, but she is being smart right now, or how brave she is, or like everything you said, right? I understand what you're saying, but she never lost herself in the first place. Like, I feel like that Blake's discovery, in a sense, is because that part of herself was squashed by Adam, and she needed to bloom into her own again. Like, she was a little flower, and she needed to bloom, whereas Nora is already in bloom. She just cannot see the beauty of a plant. Like, she sees herself as a weed that is not yet, like, transformed into a dandelion, right? So I feel like I understand your concern with rushing, but they've been doing this, like, the whole volume, right? And last volume, and so if Ren can do it, I don't know.
I also feel like in the whole thing of like, well, people are concerned like, where does this leave Renora? Because people more or less felt that it was canon at this point. I feel like an underrepresented or an under-discussed part of this newest episode was Nora talks about her kind of backstory, how she was betrayed by her mom, abandoned by her mom, and then all of a sudden her entire character earlier on, like in seasons 1 and 2 and 3, change a lot.
Codependency.
So,
on Ren,
now it's like almost like she needs Ren because she's afraid of abandonment. That's why she's always like complimenting him and so clingy towards him and so bubbly and hyperactive. It's almost like a nervous energy. Yeah. Like that kind of nervous energy you have around people when you're worried they might not like you anymore.
I don't remember the term, but I read, this is going to be so like cringy, I read the relationship Reddit a lot. And there's a specific term for like people that, it's like they're the people that are the boat rockers, and then the people that don't rock the boat. You know what I mean? The stabilizers of the boat. So there's like the people that enable the behavior of like a narcissistic person, for example. Like the narcissistic person is the boat rocker, and everyone else has to try not to rock the boat. I'm not saying that Nora's mom was like that per se, but I can see that that could be something that is somewhat like a connected concept in terms of Nora. That Nora is so afraid of abandonment that she tries her hardest to like, you know, make Ren happy, and maybe not that she's afraid of conflict. Like I don't feel like Nora is somebody that is like shy or her feelings aren't genuine, but I do think that like there's probably a part of her deep down that sort of feels like I need to do everything I can to make sure that Ren doesn't abandon me in the forest like my mom did, right? Like think about like how badly she wants to be partners with him and how they need to have this like signal so they can be partners and like all of that sort of stuff. Like I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of Nora's character choices in the past were connected to the fact of I feel like I need to constantly be X to get people's validation, to be able, so people don't leave me, right? So Ren doesn't leave me, right? And like what she didn't realize is that Ren would have never left her, right? Like Ren would never do that, but she sort of, I think, like projected a lot of insecurities about Ren, maybe like onto, you know, like onto Ren, if that makes sense. Insecurities about herself and her past onto Ren. Maybe kind of like Yang, right? Okay, let's talk about that, because I think that's actually a good thing too. Like the parallels, like think about the head touch that they have. It's the exact same as the Bumblebee head touch, right? And so they're trying to do like, hey, Renora does the exact same things and it's canon, so, you know, like, if you doubt Bumblebee, like, how is that different, right? Like, I feel like they're kind of doing that on purpose. But think about, like, Yang's abandonment issues with her mom, and then how she feels about Blake running away. Like, they didn't, like, get into that, like, in a literal sense, but I think that there's definitely a parallel with, like Raven being a coward and leaving, and then Blake being a coward and leaving, but the difference is Blake came back. So I feel like that we're gonna get a similar situation where I think Nora has now realized that Ren would never leave her, but she has lived her life as if Ren would leave her, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I feel like that could be an interesting thing. That's just my interpretation or headcanon of all of that. But yeah.
And I think that's what's going to be in the future. When she learns about herself, she'll learn how to be sort of separate from Ren to get more maybe self-confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that'll be really interesting for her. I think she'll become a more like multi-dimensional character. She won't just be like Ren's sidekick, funny joke hit thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're already seeing that, and what we're already seeing is incredibly interesting. And I'm really looking forward to it.
At the same time though, like, wasn't Nora always like that? Like, think about practice what you preach, Pyrrha. Yeah. Like, she was always like the emotional, intelligent one. She was never ditzy or hit things in the first place. She just thinks that she is. Right? And so it's not even like...
self-confidence,
Yeah, I think. It's all about self-confidence, right? Like, she has always been, like, who she wants to be. She just needs to realize that she is. And I think that Volume 2 is a great indicator of that. Like, think about, like, Nora was introduced as, like, wee, right? Nora was introduced like that, right? But at the same time, like, think about her attitudes in later volumes, especially stuff like Volume 4. Like, she is already who she wants to be. She just doesn't realize it yet. She doesn't realize that she has the power to be that without Ren, I guess, is like something that you could say. But I think, again, like her dialogue with Pyrrha, how emotionally understanding she is of everyone around her. Like, that's the thing. Like, that's who she is, you know? And so I feel like RWBY's always been about that. Like, think about, like, the subverting the trope stuff, right? Like, you have, Yang is a blonde bimbo party girl, but then she has deep-seated trauma about how she almost killed her sister, and, like, you know, how she had to raise RWBY from, like, birth because Tai Yang was depressed, right?
So
like, RWBY has always done that. And so Nora's, like, ditzy, bubbly, wee, but then inside, like, we see that Nora's more than that. It's just now, like, she needs to know.
That same thing was true with Ren, the same thing was true with Jean, with all Team RWBY, with a lot of these characters, they kind of sprout beyond their archetype. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Nora do that more.
So Renora's not dead, guys.
No.
Please
it's just, it's not dead. I don't even think
She's doing it for him.
I don't even think it's on a hiatus, even. No. It's just kind of, like, not like, the main focus for it now.
This was just a mature, adult conversation. And I don't want to say, like, she's doing it for him as if, like, she's doing it, like, again, another thing for Ren. Like, she's doing it for herself. But it's because that she wants Ren to have, like, you know, to have the best partner that he can have, right? Like, for her to be the best partner that she can be, in a sense, that she is doing it. She's not doing it out of rejecting Ren. She's actually doing it as a respectful gesture towards Ren. It's sort of like, I know this isn't a good example, but, like, people want to be, like, monetarily stable before they get married. And, like, that's, like, a, you know, a functional thing of wanting to be financially stable and stuff. But it's also, like, a respect thing. It's like, I don't want to be with you where you will have to suffer hardship. I want to be with you where I can provide, right? You know what I mean? And obviously, again, maybe that's not the best example because money is a functional concept, right?
Money is a little different than emotional maturity
but it's, you know,
self-actualization, but it's similar enough.
It's similar in the sense of, like, I am doing this, I'm not putting our relationship on hold because I do not love you, but in fact, I love you so much that I cannot subject you to my, like bump in the road, so to speak. Like, my, like, current hardship or my current, like, immaturity or my current, like, lack of confidence. But I would rather, like, go into this relationship starting with that amount of confidence. I think that's basically what Nora is saying. And I think that's, like, good. Like, that's good. Right? Like, wow, like a mature adult conversation. But here's the problem with a mature adult conversation. Y'all are being like, it's dead! Right? Like, and I'm just like, no! Right? But, like, I don't I don't know, like, I'm not, like, trying to be like, oh, these kids don't know anything about relationships, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, there's probably a lot of kids in the fandom that don't understand that this is not a no, if that makes sense. Like, this is not a, like, I am rejecting you, because, like, things may seem a little more black and white, like, when you're younger, like that. I don't know, I've definitely felt that before. Like, rejected, and, like, not even rejected in a I don't like you way, just in an I don't, like, I can't right now way, for whatever reason, for X and Y, and I'm like, it's the end of the world, they said they won't, but they said that they'd be with you after they get back from the summer, but they won't be with me right now, right? Like, it's one of those big, like, crises, right? Like, about, like, I don't know, like, patience and stuff like that. I don't know. I've been there. Like, I've definitely been there with feeling that, like, because somebody says, like, yeah, I would love to go out with you after da-da-da-da-da, and it's like, they never want to see me. And I get it, because sometimes, like, people do use stuff like that as, like, an excuse. But, like, Ren and Nora are being genuine. And the reason why, like, I feel like a lot of his fears are quelled is because he sees the rose petals around her, and he knows that she is not doing it because she is rejecting him or doesn't like him, but she's doing it out of the utmost, like, purest love, because he sees all the love petals around her. That's my interpretation of the petals in that scene, right? So it's like, it's out of love, not out of rejection, not out of friend zoning, right? It's because she loves and respects him, and we should appreciate that. I think that's very nice. So yeah, I think that's basically it from us, guys. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. Anything else to add, Hunter, or do you think we basically...
No, I think we did a good job of it.
And so yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed...
If only we had a Renora as canon party popper.
I
or
know.
like, if we had a Renora is part of a mature relationship party popper. But that does not tend to be the type of thing you pop party poppers
it's already it's been canon, though.
Yeah,
that's why we don't have
I think
one.
it continues to be.
Exactly. And so yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. That is it from us, and we will see you guys later. Bye!